Like, what were your relationships like in the past? Have you always been a girl who's like been in relationships?
I am a relationship girly. Yeah. Obviously, I have my little, time to live.
Yes.
But I'm a relationship girly. And kind of what you saw unfold on the show has kind of unfortunately been my pattern. It's kind of been a lot of men that just are refusing to get ready. They know, like, you are the perfect girl for me. You're exactly what I need. And then they'll tell me, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to do this. I want this, blah, blah.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We're going to be breaking down this particular video for you. Today it's about breaking the patterns of toxic behaviors. You just saw AD there talking on her interview and saying that, you know what, Clay is a representative of the pattern of men that she has chosen in her past. If there's a pattern of behavior, eventually you got to do something different to get a different output. And if this is a pattern that you keep experiencing, then you're the problem. As much as the other people who keep showing up not ready, it's not about them being ready. It's about you being able to prepare for the right type of person and making sure that you're putting the right energy out there and also choosing correctly. Because AD chose Clay. It wasn't like he came out of the blue and, surprised her. She chose Clay. And so that means we have to have a real conversation about breaking patterns. Are you somebody who keeps choosing somebody who isn't ready? If that is the case, we got to have a larger conversation. Why is it you keep choosing people that are not ready? And oftentimes that means emotionally unavailable. Or why do you keep being a ride or die? And she's gonna express that in a few minutes' time, and we'll bring that on there too. And we want to talk about both these things. So if you're somebody who's experiencing choosing men or women that aren't ready, then this is going to be the video for you. And we're going to break it down as to why you're actually there. And a quick summation of that is that when it comes to choosing people and they're not ready, it is because more time that you yourself are not emotionally available. And because you're unwilling to let go of the story you have implanted in your mind about the other party. Especially in this case, we know that with AD and Clay, Clay told her that he wasn't ready, but she wanted to believe that he was ready because he did kind of say it too. So which one was it? Was he not believing? Was he believing? The Bible says, you can't have it's to have a forked tongue, to have blessings and curses at the same time. It's not where you want to be. An unstable man is somebody who has double-minded ways. So you have to be set on a way and go with it. Why is it you're willing to choose somebody who's double-minded? Why are you willing to choose somebody who gives you this love but doesn't want to commit to you? It is because you're willing to choose somebody who is unstable, and you're willing to choose somebody who's willing to give you a piece of what you want, and you're willing to choose somebody who will give you a part of what you need, and you are satisfied with that because you're willing to buy into the lie. Now we can go a bit deeper. We're going to go deeper in this rest of this video for the next 20 or so minutes. Listen, make sure you stick around. I'm going to break it all the way down for you as to why you're choosing, why there's two topics today, why you're a ride or die, and why you end up choosing people that aren't ready to be in a relationship. So if you're not new to the channel, I want you to do me a massive favor. Make sure you like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you guys. The locks are loaded, and get ready to enjoy the show. We're going to play a little bit of an intro, and then we'll get the video going. You know what time it is. Time it is. Time it is. Time it is.
Blah, 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 and string me along. And I believe it because I'm in love. And then boom, when it's time to like put the action behind it, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not ready for this. I don't know what you thought this was. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was what you told me.
Right, exactly.
So
Exactly. And well, I feel like I can relate to you so much because we're both Scorpios.
okay,
When's your birthday?
November 4th.
Okay, I'm October 25th. We have guests from Scorpios in the room, fellow Scorpios in the room, Scorpios all around. So, do you know anything about Scorpios?
I know me.
Uh-huh.
I know me.
Well, you know it's a fixed sign.
Yeah,
So we are ride to the wheels fall off types of people. Like
100%.
I need to see it burst in flames.
And then when the wheels fall off, I'll get out and I'll push it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
What a shame.
Out of the mouth of AD herself, she tells you herself, I'm a person that when the car bursts into flames, I'm even going to continue pushing it. What's that got to do with the other person? That's all to do with you. If you're somebody who has a pattern of choosing the same type of people, you are the one who needs to look at themselves. You are accountable for your own life. And therefore, whatever actions you're putting forth is bringing you to a place that you're in right now. Let's talk patterns first and foremost, right? Patterns. What is patterns? It is a repeated decorative design. It means to repeat in a predictable manner. It means predictable set of events, behaviors, mannerisms, or to model. Right? And a lot of times what we don't realize is we are modeling a type of behavior due to a pattern of behaviors that's happened to us. So maybe in a childhood, and we can talk about this, abandonment issues, right? And so in your way of surviving the abandonment issues is you've learned how to survive by clinging on, by holding on, by trying to do as much as you can to prove to that person that you're worthy of their love. You do as much as you can to heal them. You do as much as you can to save them. You ride and you die because what you're trying to prove is the lie is not a lie anymore. You are no longer that person who's unlovable. You're no longer that person who isn't wanted. You're no longer that person who isn't seen or heard. And you're trying to rewrite history, and it's forcing you into a survival mode to try and rewrite history of what you experienced. And the problem is that now you are patterning a behavior. It's causing you to now also focus your thought process and your filter system in how you choose somebody. How can it be that AD can go on a show and still pick the same type of man? Sometimes they say the universe, but I'm a God person. I love Jesus. God will allow you to put yourself in a place to learn a lesson you haven't learned before. All right. So you're modeling a type of behavior, a behavior you've grown accustomed to survive. Okay. Now there's two stories in the Bible that I love as well. One is King David and Uriah, right? And the reason why I say that is because when it comes to ride or die, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. We can talk about that. But number two is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Bible says that Abraham, his wife was Sarah, and she was fair. The Bible says that Isaac picked a wife, and it was Rebecca, and she was fair. And then Abraham told Isaac, Abraham told Isaac, go and pick a wife from this particular house, which was, yeah, and he chose obviously Rebecca from that house, which is Laban, her half brother, and then her full brother. And then Isaac also told his son Jacob, go and pick a wife from the same household. And Jacob ended up picking up who? Rachel. And it says Rachel was what? Fair. See, the men, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, 3 different generations, yet have the same type of behavior. Right? Same type. Interestingly enough, Abraham lied, Isaac lied, Jacob is a liar or trickster. It runs in the family. Patterns of behavior. Okay, and I picked those stories up because they're 3 different generations, yet they've modeled a behavior that they've seen and they've interpreted, and based out of survival mode have learned how to make it work for themselves. When I look at AD's situation, right, she just told us she does it to the wheels fall off, right? And then they tried to blame it on being a Scorpio. It's got nothing to do with Scorpio. It's modeled behavior that you've learned how to survive with in order not to be hurt anymore. The problem is you're going to hurt some more, right? Okay, so talking about this pattern of behavior when it comes to picking men that are not ready to commit. Men that are not ready to commit to you exhibit behaviors of emotional unavailability oftentimes. I say often because not always, all right? So someone like Clay, I spoke about this a lengthy video already, I'm not going to do too much of this, was struggling to emotionally connect with AD, right? He had issues when it came to connecting. And so if he had issues with connecting and she taught him how to connect in a particular way, right? Then she's choosing somebody who's not available emotionally. And the reality is, when you choose people that are not emotionally available, it's because you're not available emotionally, because you are connecting with a facade that they are putting on. That person has a facade of a story of a supposed emotional connection, and you are connecting with the facade, which means you don't know what an authentic emotional connection is either, because you couldn't tell the real from the fake. Patterns of behavior. You are used to that familiar energy of a facade and a story to sell you that you keep buying into. So the only way to break those patterns is to change the input. We have to deal with the root. We'll get there in a second. We're not there just yet. Okay? All right? But now, those patterns of behavior, what are we talking about here? Well, the pattern of behavior we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about a ride or die mentality, okay? Because it leads to this, that men are not ready to commit. You see, men don't not often, when I say ride or die, we love women that support us, are loyal, will back us. But ride or die, if you ride, be ready to die. Because whenever people ride, they always die. Because a ride or die mentality doesn't fit when it comes to a loving relationship. There are going to be moments where I can't ride with you because you are doing something that I don't like, or I don't agree with, or I can't go. I have boundaries. I have things that I don't want to do. The things that I do want to do. I have a vision. I have goals. And so there are going to be moments where I cannot ride with you. Now, it's beautiful to have, but ride or die has never been used in a positive fashion. I've never heard a man who's deeply in love with himself, deeply in love with his wife, and has empathy and a healthy way of doing a relationship speak about his wife as a ride or die. Because who wants to die? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And there is no greater love than for a man to lay his life down for his friends. And there is no greater love when a husband, lays his life down for his wife. So I don't need a ride or die because I'm willing to die for you. It shouldn't be that you ride or die. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Anyway, I'm going too deep. I'm going spiritual. So let's go back to what our good sis was actually saying, right? Let's go back to what our good sis was saying. She said here, I'm going to just rewind it back because I want to show you something. Okay, let's just run it back.
I'm in love. And then boom, when it's time to like put the action behind it, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not ready for this. I don't know what you thought this was. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was what you told me.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And well, I feel like I can relate to you so much because we're both Scorpios.
okay.
When's your birthday?
November 4th.
Okay, I'm October 25th. We have guests from Scorpios in the room, fellow Scorpios in the room, Scorpios all around. So, do you know anything about Scorpios?
I know me.
Uh-huh.
I know me.
Well, you know it's a fixed sign.
Yeah.
So we are ride to the wheels fall off types of people. Like
100%.
I need to see it burst in flames.
And then when the
That's
wheels
it.
fall off, I'll get out and I'll push it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
What is
Yeah,
it?
they're
Shame.
both toxic and they don't realize that. And they're both broken and they don't realize that as well. And that's why the pattern of behavior, again, is not going to change because they don't even recognize that this is a toxic way of dealing with relationships. And they're calling it Scorpio. It's got nothing to do with Scorpio. You're unhealed. And then they're going to be saying, that, for them, they're going to look at it from a situation point of view, which is, I'm a person that needs to see it burn. Well, let's deal with that ride or die energy, right? Let's deal with that ride or die energy, and what that means. Okay, so when I say ride or die, what does that actually mean? A ride or die mentality, okay, means you are someone who is willing to be there to the death of something. You are extreme in your loyalty until death. You won't quit until it has blown up in your face, kind of energy. You need to be broken and hurt and damaged and finished before you quit that very thing. See, many people think of ride or die as the first three I mentioned. The last one is a beautiful one. It's called the I can't let go energy, but it's still underneath ride or die. It is you need to be broken, hurt, cheated on, lied upon, betrayed. You need to be embarrassed before you're willing to move on because it wasn't that bad, was it? And I'm one of those people too, so I'm telling you this from a personal point of view. It wasn't that bad, and they're not that bad. So why do I need to move on? They're not trying to kill me. They're not. But the reality is, if you can't move on when you know the relationship's not serving you, and it's not aiding you, and it's not fulfilling you, and it's not doing what it's supposed to do for you, you're in that same category of ride or die because you're waiting for what? It to be broken. You're waiting for it to be hurt. You're waiting to be damaged. You're waiting to be embarrassed. You're waiting to be betrayed. You're waiting to be cheated on. And in fact, you don't leave a relationship because you've never been cheated on. You've never been embarrassed, you've never been betrayed, and I don't leave. So I'm a ride or die type of chick, and it looks cool because I'm down for the no. You can't let go. You have an inability to let go, and the reason why you have an inability to let go is because you have abandonment issues. Number one, probably you're afraid of being alone. You are afraid of missing out on love. You are afraid that when you give up, you're giving up too soon because you felt like somebody gave up on you, right? Or you felt like you didn't do enough. Oh, I need to do everything in my power to make it work. I'm one of those people. I'm like, I must do everything in my power to make sure it's finished. Why? Because it's like, I must leave everything on the threshing floor so that I don't feel like I've made a mistake. The reality is you don't trust yourself that your discernment is working. You don't trust yourself that you made a decision and it's a right decision. You're afraid that when you make this decision, you're going to be alone and you won't be that person who's actually an ego and validating individual in your life. But we can talk about that another time. Or, you know what? You just love being a savior in people's lives. That is why you're ride or die. That is why you can't let go of that person. That's why AD is stayed in that relationship for so long with Clay, knowing that Clay is telling her, I don't want to get married, or I'm not sure if I want to get married, right? And then she will end up becoming pally with her exes and asking a question, why can't I get these men to commit? Well, because baby, you've got bad boundaries. And the funny thing is, your bad boundaries are costing you too. Because you allow men who shouldn't be in your vicinity, who are not ready to commit, you allow them into the pen. Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, right? Your bad boundaries are allowing men into your space that are not ready to commit. Let me bring this part here that she spoke about, right? I love this part where she speaks about this as well, because they speak about this as well. Listen to this.
What the hell is wrong with us?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, how does this happen
But
every
that is
single
me
time?
through and through. I'm such a rider, and it just gets taken advantage of time after time. So now I'm like, I don't want to get hardened by it, but it's so hard not to like be like, fuck this. Like,
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. It's the potential.
Ooh, hold on.
A lot of times. Yeah. For me, I'll be like, oh, but he's almost there. Like, he's so close.
Now let's talk about this. She said, listen, I'm such a rider and people take advantage. Yeah, they do. But you're seeing the rider as a positive and not seeing it as a toxic trait. You're not realizing that you being a rider means you're riding or to die. And you never want to be in a ride or die situation. You don't need to be in that place. You can be loyal without being a ride or die. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And when you're loyal without being a ride or die, what it means is I have better boundaries. I have self-love. I care about myself enough to know that, listen, where you're going to, I can't follow you because I'm not trying to die. Right? But when you don't have good boundaries, when you are loyal to an absolute fault, this is where my second story in the Bible comes in. Uriah, one of the 37 men of valor in the Bible, if you go and read it about King David. King David, unfortunately, Manners of Gallus, ended up stealing King Uriah's wife, Bathsheba, one of the baddest bees in the town, okay? Saw her on the balcony, thought she's a bad bee, called her up, said, hey, babe, listen, I need to talk to you. I need to find out what I want. Knew that she was somebody's wife, ended up sleeping with her, got her pregnant, sent her back to her man. Her man came home from war, fighting on David's behalf, and David said, go back to your wife and sleep with her. And Uriah was like, I can't. I'm loyal to the men that are here, And David was like, just go back. And now I be a bit facetious when I tell the story, because I'm saying like I'm kind of hyperboling it a little bit as well. But had he not been so loyal to David, had he not been so loyal to his men and gone back and slept with his wife like the king had told him, because when the king tells you to do something, you can go and do it. You know what I'm saying? When the king does it, the king overrides every rule. Say if he had gone home and slept with his wife, he might not be dead right now. Now he might be a baby daddy, that wouldn't have been his kid, but he might not have been dead. Okay, all right, and thus his loyalty and his unwavering loyalty sent him to the front of the war when David said to Joab, send him to the front of the wall. One of the 37 men of valor. So now that man is dead because he was so loyal to the king. Look, I'm not saying that, of course, that's a bit of a different situation, but the reality is when you're loyal to a fault, you are going to die a death, because you need to have boundaries, self-love. You need to care about yourself, and you need to be able to say, listen, this does not work for me. I cannot be so ride or die. I'm willing to die. And do you know how we know that she's so ride or die? She went to die. Let me give you a clip. Oh, I hope I saved it. Damn, I don't think I saved it. She said okay, no, I've got it. I thought I didn't have it, but I have it, ladies and gentlemen, trust me, I have it. Let me play this clip for you. I want you to pay attention to this clip here. You're gonna find out, okay? Watch this clip here.
Conversations that you had in those moments reflected in the edit of like what was actually shown?
No. I feel like it gave that I was just blindly following him when there was so much conversation of how much he really, really wanted this. And, it just kind of gave, I was like, oop, red flags, I don't care. But in reality, I really was like believing him and trusting him, and he was feeding me all this stuff. So I'm like,
yeah. It definitely gave DPD
AD, stand up. Listen, sis.
Now, this conversation, obviously, that she had a conversation with, it couples with another conversation later on, which I don't think I put the notes for, which I wish I did. And she spoke about how she would blindly follow him over the edge of a cliff. Do you see what I'm saying to you? Now, whilst I believe we should have that kind of unwavering faith in our partner, I don't want you to walk off a cliff because of me. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Now, have trust, but have that kind of trust in Jesus. Don't have it in me. Oh, what a friend we have in Jesus. Oh, what a friend. Okay, so, all right, listen. Have that kind of unwavering trust for Jesus. Don't have it for me. You need to have some level of logic, some level of intelligence, some level of boundaries, some level of your own mind. Because you get to a point where you said, oh, I wasn't blindly following him. But you were, because if you were alive and you were awake and you were, and you were seeing things for what it was, you'd have realized that clay isn't the one for you. Now, we've all done this. This is not a blame on AD. It's the waking people up. And if you think that AD is the only one that does it, look at your own life. The Bible says the word is a double-edged sword, meaning it cuts this way, but it cuts this way too. I am telling you this because I'm telling you because it's happened to me. And so if you're thinking at AD and looking at her like, man, that can't be me, you're going to find out it could be you. So be careful. We're not here to judge her. We're here to highlight and bring out these themes so we can actually make it work. By the way, I want to just say this as well. Shout out to BetterHelp. This is sponsored by BetterHelp as well. I appreciate them as well for dropping this sponsorship with me as well. Listen, if you are somebody who's looking to change the patterns of their thoughts and begin to root out some of the issues as to why you do what you do, then shout out to BetterHelp, who can help you link you up with some therapists as well, and break some of those toxic patterns that you need to break in your life. There's a link down below in the description box, and you can use my link with my name on it, and it will give you a 10% discount as well. Trust me, I'm using my own link, okay? Because I ain't gonna be mad at it. I'm gonna use my own link and get my discounts, baby. Okay, all right, cool. All right, let's get back into this video again. But yes, following someone blindly, not having your own voice, not having your own vision, not having your own sight to see that maybe where we're going, I have to question it. And that's the biggest issue there. Right? She said, oh, it's not my fault. I just believed him. No, it's still your fault. What you believed is still your fault, because what you allowed into your own ear gateways that became part of your vision and your belief and your trust and your faith, you walked it out. So you are at fault. And this is my problem I have with AD and people like us, where we don't take accountability in these situations. We want to blame somebody else. And if you're always blaming somebody else, you will never learn. Okay? You will never learn. Okay? All right, cool. Let's go to this next clip. Okay? Let me go to the next clip, because I think this is really powerful as to why I believe we are seeing the why AD is in this situation. And I'm going to explain it for why you're in that situation too.
Oh, God.
What did you think was going to come from that? Like, what did you think?
I guess I trusted him because, one, the bond that we built in the pods, like there was nothing that we couldn't tell each other. Two, we're on a show about marriage. And so it's like, if I'm going to marry you, this is something you need to know. Like, I have struck out every single time with love. I don't know why. And I'm laying this out to you, hoping that you won't do the same.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out in my favor.
Do you regret sharing that with him?
No. I think...
Now let's pause it right there. She expected him to be better because she told him the information. While I was like, listen, and I hear it. And we all have been there where we think the other person should be better. The reality is we don't know them. We're getting to know them. And so as you're building your trust and you're saying, listen, I'm telling you this information, don't hurt me, you got to pay attention to what they're actually telling you back. This is why when things go wrong with my life, I don't start looking at the other person. I don't even look at if something happens between me and God, I'm like, God, you know what? Maybe I misinterpreted what you said, because I know you're not a liar and I know you're true. Now, if a human being does something to me, I'm like, you know what? I gave you room to do that. Instead of me blaming you, I'm going to learn for what happened. I'm going to put myself in a better space to have control over what I do in my life. And I'm going to know that, listen, just because you did me dirty doesn't mean I'm not going to learn from it. I'm going to grow from it. Because you did me dirty, but now I need to learn from that situation. AD wants to continually blame Clay for mishandling her, but she doesn't realize that she went boldly, blindly, past the red flags, past the blatant signs that said, stop, don't go any further, and still wants to blame the environment for mistreating and mishandling her. You are a problem. AD and anybody else who doesn't want to take accountability for going past all the signs and red flags, you are the problem. Because at that point, you are ignoring what you're seeing. But there's more. So let's go on a bit longer.
In hindsight, he maybe wasn't ready to hear it at that time, because I don't think it impacted him the way I thought it would have. It probably would have been a better conversation for a later day.
I felt like his response, I didn't think it was a bad response. Like, for me personally, I wasn't you telling him this thing. Because like, on one hand, you want for your partner, and no, baby, like, I love you. But in that moment, and I saw you say on Nick's podcast that like you now know that you're looking for a man who can be soft with you
Yeah.
and not so
Sorry, I think I got the wrong part of the clip. I wanted to. There's a part where I wanted to say she actually started talking about how she didn't feel like she deserved the love, and she spoke about this even on the show. She didn't feel like she deserved love, and that's actually what's actually what's hinged on why we keep repeating the same mistakes. You don't love you. This is why I said about emotional connection. You don't love you, and so if you don't love you, how do you expect the other person to love you? You know, and it's a sad reality that I've been through. I'm still working, and there's still parts of me that I know that I need to love. Let's keep it a buck. I'm not one of those people that are going to tell you a thing and not tell you about what I'm also going through. I am currently being reorganized, reshaped, molded, broken, being put back together by God Himself, and I'm being stitched up because I am a person just like AD. I've got the healer spirit in me. I want to always help people, and yet I find myself in broken places. Why do I keep finding myself in broken places? Because I am not learning the lesson. The lesson is you don't love you, and so you're unwilling to walk, and you're unwilling to let go of situations because you're low self-esteem. You don't love you enough to be able to walk away. And of course, look, some people don't even have to work that out because they get the right person at the right time, but you don't get that choice. You are in a situation where your pattern of behavior is toxic. You keep choosing the wrong people. And here is why you keep repeating the same mistakes. You don't hate it enough to change. You don't hate it enough. You haven't been broken enough. You haven't been hurt enough. You have not been cheated on enough. You have not been lied on enough for it to want to change. You don't want it to change. You want to sit there and go, well, maybe the next person will be better, instead of actually going, what am I doing to contribute? You think others are the problem, not yourself. Right? And this is the biggest issue. Now, in order for us to bring the change here, this is what we need to do, right? Because I've talked about this now. In order for us to bring the change, let me just do this so I can separate this, right? In order for us to bring the change, I want to bring this last point on AD. I want you to listen to this part. Very important. Hopefully I got the right timestamps because I was listening to it on a bus. So
without a parachute because I know he will be down there to catch me.
Oh, here it is.
That was AI.
Okay.
Okay, listen.
Okay, I gotta ask you about this, bitch. When you told your mother, and I quote, I would follow him off a cliff without a parachute because I know he will be down there to catch me.
Yeah, that was AI.
Okay. I want to make sure.
I didn't say that.
All right.
No, I didn't say
Statement
that.
redacted. I was flabbergasted. I wanted to reach through my laptop because I was watching my laptop. I wanted to reach through my laptop.
That was an edit. No, let me tell you. So Clay taught me a lot about boundaries, and it came a lot from like the show and just like how he would move. I was like, that's very attractive. Like,
so she actually did say it. So she actually ends up telling us she actually did say it, right? Well, she explains what she actually meant. She would have walked off a cliff to be with that brother. But the problem is that she has boundary issues. See? And she doesn't realize that she's actually the problem, right? That in the boundary issues, you are the problem. The reason why you have boundary issues is because someone's done something to you, but now it's been done to you. You have a responsibility to work on your boundaries. Do you see what I'm saying to you? You have a problem with when it comes to your boundaries. Now, see, going back to our original question, the pattern of picking men that are not ready to commit is because you allow men who aren't ready to commit into your zone. And you are playing with them, and you are getting into husband and wifey or relationship, or you're doing situationship, or you're being too friendly. They're too close to your vicinity that now it's getting confusing. So these men are not ready to commit. Right? You keep picking men that are saying, you're great, but because they're having fun with you. They're having fun, so why would they want to commit? These men were not ready to commit, and then you gave them the goods for free. They're never gonna commit. They're gonna use it as a stepladder to the next woman. You're about to fluff them up. Right? So now let's talk about some of the things that are gonna help us bring changes here. Okay? Let's talk about how things are gonna bring changes here. First and foremost, we have to talk about the fact that you must cut an issue at the root cause. Okay, we must deal with the root cause. What is that root cause? Pain. There is something in your earlier years of your life, more time than not, Sometimes it can happen later, but most people, it is in your earlier formative years where you're in your childhood. There has been some level of wound that's been inflicted on you, whether it's abandonment, whether it's you've been not loved emotionally the right way, you've not been cared, you've been made to feel silent, you've been made to feel invisible. You become a people pleaser because you saw that you were only rewarded when you did something. You were trying to appease the angry parent or whatever. You've got some level of wounded trauma. By the way, if you want to shout out to me, grab me on my email, littleblackbird91@gmail.com. If you want some coaching, I'm all about it. I'm here to help you guys as well, right? So with everyone you want, if you want a therapist, that's not me, I'm a coach. You having a therapist and a coach is good for you. Okay, all right, get both. All right. But yeah, so this situation, right? Cut it at its root, deal with the root of the pain. So number one, you must have awareness and acceptance that you have an issue. In order to start bringing change to your situation, you must be aware that you are you have an issue, you have a problem, and you must accept that you have a problem. Number two, you must begin to review every scenario and looking at where the repeat behaviors and the repeat patterns of behaviors are. So when AD looks at Clay, what's the same thing that's happening between Clay and her ex-boyfriend that was at the club? Right? AD lacks boundaries for both her ex and Clay. She's out here doing flirty with Clay, but we found out that she was working for her ex at the time and doing flirty there, and then also allowing him to pick up the phone call and tell him they're not together. It was a boundary issue. And she's continued onwards up until now. Okay, number three, you must begin to rebuke and refute the idea of this again happening. So what I mean by that is once you start dealing with the root cause of the pain, you also must speak to yourself. You must begin to decree, and say, listen, I'm not going to accept this no longer. You must make a stool. Some would say make an altar. Some would say make a promise. Some would say make a declaration that I'm not going to surrender myself and undersell myself once again to anything that does not fit my narrative and what I actually need and I actually want in a relationship. I refuse to undersell myself. That's the point. Number four. Building up trust in yourself by dealing with root pain and the source that feeds that behavior. Okay, all right. So if you feel like you're not worthy, abandonment wounds, feeling like you're not seen or heard, you got an orphanage wound, whatever you want to call it, whatever you've been traumatized by in your childhood, you must build yourself up dealing with that root issue, okay, and cutting it at its source, and then begin to trust yourself and your decision making, trusting your discernment. You have to start putting faith in your discernment. And sometimes you're going to do too much, and that's okay because you're trying to find some balance. And so you might go too far left and be too extreme, but you're going to come back when you start realizing through the experiences as you're protecting yourself that maybe I need to do that for now, right? That's what needs to be happening. Okay. All right. So those 4 points there. And I want to let you know again, listen, ride or die, or I can never let go because, I'm scared. Listen, I hear it. But the reality of the situation is, look, if you stay in that place, you are always going to be hurt. Okay? You're always going to be hurt. If you stay in that place, you're always going to be hurt. AD has a pattern of poor boundaries with exes. Now with Clay, the same thing. And connecting to false stories of emotional connection. Many of you connect to false stories of emotional connection with that man because he shared his deep heart secrets with you. But is he reciprocal in the way he loves you? Is he sharing the little details? Is he sharing his day-to-day with you? And the little details? Are you able to do the same thing? Are you able to be open with your emotions with that person? Right? Okay? Is it a judgment-free zone? All right? Are you even emotionally connected to yourself? There's a lot to discuss. But make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification uploads. I hope this, guys, has helped somebody picking up a pattern of men that are not ready to commit. The reason why you keep picking men that are not ready to commit is because you have bad boundaries and you undervalue and undersell yourself, and you're unwilling to let go of somebody when they don't meet your criteria. Don't be in that place anymore.